Welcome back to the Milkweed and Monarch project. In this final episode, we will discuss migration, seed saving, and the end of the planting season, with a special segment on milkweed cordage with Christopher. Monarchs in North America are divided into two categories: the eastern monarch that we see in Ann Arbor, which migrates from Mexico to Canada, and the western monarch that lives on the west coast and overwinters in California. Both populations are threatened and saw extremely low numbers in the fall of 2020. This season, fall and winter of 2021 to 2022, the migration and overwintering site observations show a much larger number of monarchs in both locations. Though this population increase is good news, conservation is still needed as the amount of butterflies has dramatically decreased since the 1990s. The end of monarch season doesn't have to be the end of your efforts at conservation. In the fall, milkweed plants will start to turn yellow and dry up. The plant will start to produce seeds if it flowered over the summer. The seed pods will start out green, then fade to yellow or brown, and open up to disperse the seeds. We'll check back in with the seeds later in the episode. Fall is a great time for planting native plants. If temperatures are lower than 60 degrees Fahrenheit, you do not need to water frequently, and the plants will work to establish roots before the ground freezes. This fall, I had a lot of leftover milkweed seedlings and potted plants that I'd used to feed my caterpillars. Some of them looked almost dead but had healthy root systems. As long as the milkweed plant has roots, it will likely establish itself and regrow next year. I planted all of the remaining seedlings around my yard to provide more habitat for monarchs next year. Hi, I'm back in Ellie's garden one last time for the season. The milkweed is totally gone, but we have seed pods here, and these can be harvested or spread around the garden. So if you want to harvest these, you can either take the seed pod or all of the seeds and just gently pull them out. So instead of saving these, I'm going to spread these in the lawn, and some of them may take seeds, some of them might end up just decomposing here, but we will throw them in various places. Seeds can be planted or distributed outside through the fall and winter as long as they have at least 30 days to cold stratify. There are a few options. First, you can direct sow the seeds into the soil in the fall or later in the winter. Second, you can sow the seeds directly into trays in the late winter and stratify them outside. Or third, use the refrigerator stratifying method we discussed earlier in the season. To save seeds for later planting, pull or cut the seed pods off of the plant and place them in a dry environment. To store them, make sure the seeds or seed pods are thoroughly dry and place them in a plastic bag or Tupperware container.
I wanted to show you a simple way to make cordage or rope out of milkweed stalks. So here I've got a milkweed stalk and I've taken off all the leaves, and the first step is you'll want to just crush it fairly gently with a hatchet or a hammer. And so I'm just going to crush it here. And you can see that I've got it split right here. The nice thing about milkweed is that it's hollow. So the next step is I'm going to open it up, and then you can run your thumbnail right up the whole length of the milkweed. And that's going to give you this nice milkweed stalk that's kind of split, and you can kind of massage it a little bit, but you don't want to break the fibers too much. So the next step is we need to separate the outside bark, which is the part we want, from the inside core. And the way you do that is to break this this off like that. And we're going to just get rid of this kind of meaty core, and so we're left with something that looks like that. This is the part we want. And amazingly, this just peels right back. And there we go. So we're just peeling that right back. All right. So this is the part we're getting rid of. And what I ended up with is the bark. Now you'll want to dry that maybe overnight or for a few hours in the sun. I have some that I've already dried. All right. So I've got a knot tied in this end, and I'm going to separate the milkweed into roughly 2 halves. Because we're going to braid these 2 halves. Rotate, I've got the knot right here. I'm going to twist that a few times and then bring it towards me. Twist this a few times, bring that towards me. Twisting and rotating. And I'm twisting away from me. And you can see I've got the beginnings of a nice rope started there. And when you're all done, you'll end up with something that looks like this. It's pretty amazing.
Thank you for watching and following along with the Milkweed and Monarch project. Over the course of the past season, from April 2020 until January 2022, AADL staff explored the life cycles of milkweed plants and monarch butterflies. We also looked into monarch conservation and even raised some monarchs of our own. The migration has finished for us, and it is now winter, where milkweed seeds are laying dormant, awaiting spring. Spring is already on the horizon, though, when the cycle will begin again.